What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout, and I am here with top 10 best cards from BT25. Yes, today we're going over all of the best cards from the set. The daily upload train continues with double uploads this week. It's gonna be awesome. So it was hard finding the top 10 because the set is so good. But before we begin, if you wish to play any of these cards, we host locals every single Friday at 8 p.m. Central European Time, free entry, proxy legal, open to all regions. So if you wish to play any of these cards, you can do so at our locals. And a huge shout out to the Coffee Club, our lovely patrons. These are our $2 and up patrons. They buy us coffee. They keep this crazy content grind going. And guys, thanks out for your support. If you wish to join the Coffee Club, link to a patron is in the description below. And I think that's about everything. Roll the video. As with all of our videos, let's start with a breakdown. So these are the best cards from BT25. Super hard to make a list like this. Like very hard because of so many amazing cards. I'm gonna give you my personal ranking, and it's gonna be a scaling from 10 to 1. From the worst best card to the best one. Then we're just gonna skip the summary, and midway we're gonna have a bit of a disclaimer. You'll see why. Anyways, let's go. Number 10 was probably the hardest one. So I had to put something on the worst best card spot. And for me, I think this Boo. I think this Boo is amazing. So he's a one-cost barrier blocker in blue, a generic barrier blocker. Yes, barrier doesn't mean much anymore, but in certain matchups, for example versus other blue decks, or sometimes versus red, which isn't Kitku, or maybe versus black here and there, this barrier blocker can be very helpful. And he also charges you a free Z energy when he blocks, combos from the drop, becomes 20k. That's pretty neat. So yeah, I mean, it's a controversial placing. It's number 10, but hey, in my opinion, this is the worst best card. Number 9 goes to the Goku Z battle card. So I've been testing it a bit outside of the Kitku deck, and I think that this is a new staple Z battle card. It costs 1 energy and 2 Z energy if you have a red battle card with 30k power or more in play. So he's a 1 cost most of the time. He's basically a 1 cost removal, because when you play it, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 30k or less and KO it. Pay 1 and 2 Z energy, KO something. And then if you need to push for the game, let's say this is your last attacker, activate battle, you can make him a 25k double striker. It's great removal, it's cheap to play, and it can threaten lethal. Like, the card is really solid. Number 8 is the Z Unison, specifically the black one. This one is amazing. I think this is the best one out of all of these campaign rares. So the card is, first off, it's amazing. It's a 1 cost, 1 Z energy, 20k. So it's surviving the first couple of turns. It's huge. Helps out decks like SSG Trunks and BT18 Shroom and Salsa, decks which want to have very specific things in the warp. We have seen on our last locals when Castaman played this Z Unison and then just used it and managed to awaken on 8 lives with SSG Trunks, because the Unison just helps out the deck so much. It's probably gonna do the exact same for Shroom and Salsa. It's very tough to kill in the early game. There's no way that your opponent is killing this in the early game. Unless they really up combo, they're not punching through a 20k Unison twice on their turn 1. They're not doing that. And it gets you your counterplay card, SS4 Goku and Vegeta, online on turn 1. Turn 1, immediately go into this, use activate main, get what you need into the warp, opponent's turn, slap them with a counterplay, take their entire turn away, and then go back to your turn. Like, this card is amazing. And now comes the controversial part. Number 7 is the SCR. So, Boo SCR, the card is amazing. Like, the card is absolutely amazing. 2 cost, dual attacker, 40k, once per turn, rips 2 cards from your opponent's hand and then combos with them, and activate battle, it can take their keywords. Like, that's insane. Like, there's a lot that you can do with this card for only 2 energy, and it has great potential to end games. The only reason why it's not higher is that it's completely outshined by Beast Gohan. I think that I'll adamantly believe that if it's between this card and Gohan, you will always play Gohan, because Gohan can kill your opponent automatically. But this is probably the second or the third best option. And that says a lot, because Beast Gohan is broken. So this is definitely one of the better blue options for SCRs. Number 6 is the other SCR. So keep this in mind. These two are very close. In my opinion, you can switch them. If you don't agree with the placing, you can probably just switch them. So sorry, the lighting is kind of bad. Board wipe for 1 energy plus refill your hand and attack for 40k is amazing. Like, this card is amazing. No specified cost, so it can go into any deck. The effect is strong, just like, hey, draw until you have 7 cards in hand. Plus, this is activate the battle. So what you can do is you can swing with him. If you're swinging for lethal, if your opponent doesn't have negate its game at that point, because you just dump your entire hand, you activate battle, pay 1, draw 7 cards, combo with all of them, with 7 cards, and then you just win. So I think this card is amazing. I honestly think this card is amazing. I'm not sure how much play it will see, because the SCR slot is extremely competitive, but I believe that this card is really, really good. I'm not sure about the other 2 SCRs though, but these two, like this one and Boo, these are great. Now comes a quick disclaimer, because I know that some of you will find this list very controversial. You'll find this list maybe controversial, but I need to explain my choices. The second half of the list was done differently. While these cards, which you'll see now, aren't necessarily the strongest cards, and they're not necessarily stronger than the first half, they will have a bigger impact on the game itself, which is why they are placed higher. So you'll see some of these cards and you will probably say no way that this is better than the SCR. And for most of them I agree. But these are the ones that we're doing best cards, right? So these are the ones that will be seeing more play. They will have a bigger impact on the game itself, which is why they are positioned higher. Now let's check them out. Number 5 is the SS4 Gogeta SR. At the moment of filming this video, we don't yet know whether or not it costs 1 or 3 energy. So this one is, well, it's either number 5 if it costs 1 energy for successor, or it's like number 500 if it costs 3 energy. So at cost 1, this is among the best cards ever made. This is probably not even number 5, it's like number 2 or number 1 if it costs 1 energy. But if it costs 3 energy, it's completely unplayable. Like, it's never gonna see play. At 3, that is way too much. So I'm hesitant to put it any higher than 5 given the current situation. Please keep that in mind. Like, if we knew whether or not this card is successor 1 or successor green, yellow and 1, the card would have been placed accordingly. But without knowing that, I'm hesitant to put it anywhere higher than number 5. Now let's start with the top 4. Number 4, Kitku SR. This card is so good, it's a generic barrier removal in red. 30k double strike. Pay 2 energy as activate main to play it, and then you play 1 red skill as battle card from your drop So yeah, you immediately establish the skill as battle card, and then you can use the auto. If you have a red original skill as battle card, blah, when this is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with 30 or K or less power, ignoring barrier, and KO it. Barrier removal was something that red was lacking for a while now. There were even builds which were playing red-black Broly's, the dark Broly's which count as black, to get around barrier removal, because then you can use Cumbers, the SS Cumbers in red, just to get rid of barrier cards. Now red has its own barrier removal, and honestly, I'm gonna tell you, it is worth playing a skillless card to be able to remove barrier cards. Just like sacrificing one or two deck slots to put in like two skillless battle cards is a price that I would be like more than willing to pay just to be able to get rid of this. Worst case, you just play the TN or something. So the Z battle card. Like, there are ways of paying for this effect. This card definitely number 4, game changer for red. Number 3 is Demigra. Demigra Z Unison. This card is a game changer for all Overrealm black decks. This card is insane. It is so powerful. It's so powerful. 1 energy, 2 Z energy. It gives Wormhole as +1. It draws and discards 2 when you Overrealm. It sets up your next Overrealm play. This card is amazing. It pushes SS4 Goku into tier 1. SS4 Goku is now SS4 Goku Xeno is now a tier 1 deck. Supreme Kai goes into Rogue tier. Once again, from complete unplayability, Supreme Kai goes into one of the decks that you might want to play and to test out. And even more Overrealm decks, such as for example the old Demigra deck or some other old Overrealm decks, are now more viable. It pushes them into viability. They're probably not something that's going to top regionals or win regionals, but they will show up high. They will show up. It's absurdly strong, though it can be a bit fragile sometimes. I'm bad at playing black. I'm very bad. Black is a color that I really got into just recently. So over my years of playing Dragon Ball, I've never played a lot of black. So I'm very bad at it. But I find it hard to defend this card. It's probably not that complicated. But sometimes it can be a bit fragile as it's only a 5k. But that's for balancing purposes, right? So please just keep that in mind. Number 2 is Dabura Unison. Okay, so this one, thank you Bandai so much. Thank you so much for giving us a 4-cost Z Unison and bringing Blue Bojack back into the game. Like, on my behalf and on behalf of all Blue Bojack players. Thank you so much. This is the card that we needed. But like the Migra, it's amazing for a lot of decks. This thing is so powerful. It is like the old Boo Unison, but on steroids. Like, even stronger. So Boo Unison on steroids and in the Z deck, so it's basically always in your hand. This is a force to reckon with. This card will see play forever. It will instantly go into every blue deck, even as a 1-off in the Z deck, probably as a 2-off. It will go everywhere. It will see play forever. Like, this card is... yeah, I don't think that anyone would argue that it's not like in the top 4. And for me, it's number 2. Number 1 are the super combos. Now, you knew that this was coming. If it wasn't an SCR, not the Migra, not Dabura, there's only one thing, and that is the super combos. Keep in mind, I'm repeating myself again, the top 5 are made based on playability and deck inclusion, and super combos are gonna be played in every single deck. Like, these super combos are insane. They are a stronger version of the Draw 2 super combos, which were already played everywhere, except this time you don't have a life threshold. They're usable on high lives. That is massive. that is massive for all of the decks which don't want to go down to 4, which don't need to go to 4. Yellow, for example, like that's what comes to my mind. Not a lot of yellow decks really have, I mean, yellow doesn't really have cards that activate at 4 lives or less. So you just awaken, you stay at 6, and you keep defending. Like that's it, you're always defending at 6. Red needs to, because of explosive dance, red needs to go down to 4. Green Saiyans need to go down to 4. But green already runs Perigos, and Perigos is just better than anything else. So, but yellow will run this. Blue can run theirs, because blue doesn't need to go down to 4 lives to do anything. So, yeah, the new super combos are amazing. There is no black super combo, though. There is no black super combo. So maybe we see one in the future. I think it might be a bit too strong. I think a black one will be way too much, but we will see, because it's always possible for decks like SCG Trunks to awaken on 8 lives and now use super combos. That would be way too much, but we will see anyway. These are absolute staples from now on, and I'm happy to say in my personal ranking, number 1 goes to the super combo cycle. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below, what are your top 10 BT25 cards? Do you agree with my choices? Do you disagree? Highly likely, but anyways, let me know in the comments. I read all of your comments, I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. And while you're here, share the video, hit those like and subscribe buttons, help us get to 6k subs when I'm gonna give away a booster box. This has been Damien from the Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.